Ms Legalista here, aka Attorney Sheila. We are going to be looking at the autopsy report for Tyre Nichols. If you recall, he was the young motorist who was in an altercation with police in Memphis back in January of 2023. He, of course, died. And I've put off talking about this autopsy, but in this video, we're finally going to look at what it says.
Yeah.
Office of the Medical Examiner, West Tennessee Regional Forensics Center. Let me bring this up so I can actually see it here, wherever it is. One of the things that I first want to point out here is he recently had his 30th birthday. Young, way too young for this to have happened. 30 years old, 30 years old. All right, date of death, January 10th. Let's go down and read this narrative summary. It says here on January 10th, 2023 at 14:12 hours, Arian Edward from St. Francis Park Hospital contacted the West Tennessee Regional Forensics Center to report the death of a 29-year-old male, black, positively identified as Tyre Nichols. Reportedly, the decedent was involved in an altercation with Memphis Police Department when he was admitted to the hospital on January 7, 2023 at 22:28 hours. The decedent's health continued to deteriorate, with Dr. Maybe pronouncing death at 13:41 hours this date. Due to the circumstances, jurisdiction was accepted by the medical examiner's office. McCulley Removal Service transported the decedent to West Tennessee Regional Forensic Center for further examination, confirm positive identification, and final disposition to the funeral home. All right, let's go ahead and see what we've got in here. So jurisdiction was accepted, the autopsy was ordered, and as you can see here, they have labeled the cause of death as blunt force injuries to the head, and we're going to look at the specifics of that. And the manner of death is a homicide. So before I go over to the next page, I do want to just sort of point out this is an autopsy report, so there are going to be some details in here that may make you uncomfortable. So at this point, you kind of have the summary. And if you choose to move on to another video, go check out something else, then now is the time to do that, because I am going to get into some of the specifics that are in the report. And I just want to lay that out before I go there. You can't say I did not warn you. All right, let's check back into this. Blunt force injuries of the head, manner of death, homicide. All right. Report of autopsy examination. Okay, body identified by fingerprints and the person who was present at the autopsy. So now let's get into some of the pathology here. And this is why I was saying it gets a little specific here. Blunt force injuries of the head and neck, multiple cortical contusions, rotational torsional injury of the brain. Again, this is why I said that this is very detailed here. You've got hemorrhagic tears of the, I don't even know what that is. Again, we're still talking about the brain here. Cerebral edema. Look, we've got other hemorrhages here, intramuscular hemorrhages, and then we've got these abrasions and contusions. And again, all of this is relating to the injuries around the head and the neck. So all of this you see here is relating to that. And then we talk about the blunt force injuries of the torso. Abrasions and contusions there, intramuscular hemorrhages of the chest and back. Blunt force injuries of the extremities, again, abrasions and contusions. Status post cardiopulmonary arrest and resuscitation. And we've got some additional information here. So you guys, that goes into a lot of detail there. And then they further break it down. Okay, so again, cause of death, blunt force injuries of the head. All right, I'm going to scroll to the next page. Evidence of injury. The following description reflects the order in which the injuries are examined and is not intended to indicate the order in which they may have occurred. Okay, so this is just them doing the examination, reporting everything. Okay, so we're going back to that first one where they're talking about the blunt force injuries of the head and neck. And again, you can see all of the details here. There are scleral hemorrhages of both eyes. The right central incisor is chipped and there is an associated abrasion of the upper lip. Superficial, thin, linear red-brown abrasions on the left cheek. On the left side of the neck, red-brown abrasion and contusion. So you can see there is a lot that's going on with what has happened to him. Again, those muscular, intramuscular hemorrhage. There are some hemorrhages involving the scalp, left frontal scalp. I'm going to scroll down some more. And then you get down to the blunt force injuries of the torso. Lower right aspect of the abdomen has a purple contusion, a half by 1/4 inch and then another half by 1/2 inch. You see another abrasion here on the shoulder. You've got the lateral aspect of the right buttock has a purple contusion. And then again, you've got the hemorrhage on the lower left back involving the external and internal oblique muscles. So again, this pathology report really laying out all of the damage that occurred to Mr. Nichols. The body will tell the story. Then you've got blunt force injuries of the extremities. You've got the posterior aspect of the left forearm with a purple contusion. You've got the left elbow with a red abrasion. You've got the left wrist, the dorsal surface of the left hand. Just think about all of these different body parts that I'm listing here. I mean, from his whole body, head, abdomen, arms, wrist, back. It even goes down here to the left knee has a tan abrasion. The anterior aspect of the left lower leg has 3 dark purple contusions. On the left thigh, there's a hemorrhage. Yeah. All right, external. 29 years, as I stated, he just would have celebrated his 30th birthday. So again, you know, a fairly young person. And then there's the evidence of the medical intervention, of course, things that they had done while he was trying to be resuscitated and then while he was in the hospital. Internal examination that they did. But yeah, so here's the summary. The decedent was a 29-year-old man who was struck multiple times during law enforcement encounter. He subsequently became unresponsive and EMS assessment determined that he was asystole and CPR was initiated. He was transported to the hospital where CPR was continued and there was return of a spontaneous circulation. He remained unresponsive on the ventilator. Initial imaging did not detect acute intracranial findings, but subsequent imaging revealed you guys, I can't even pronounce that, and subarachnoid hemorrhages of the brain. He developed acute kidney injury, disseminated intravascular coagulation, and liver failure. 3 days after hospital admission, brain death was pronounced and he expired. The autopsy revealed blunt force injuries of the head with multiple cortical contusions and rotational torsional injury of the brain. And you've got the hemorrhagic tears listed there. Multiple blunt force injuries of the neck and torso and extremities with abrasions and contusions, cerebral enema, and acute hypoxic ischemic changes of the brain, pulmonary edema, and hepatic necrosis. You guys. Toxicology analysis of the hospital admission urine sample detected ethanol and a metabolite of tetrahydrocannabinol, THC. You guys know what that is. And then there were some other things here too. The lorazepam and I can't pronounce that were administered during hospitalization. So you have the THC and maybe some alcohol there. The cause of death is blunt force injuries of the head. Based on the reported circumstances, the manner of death is classified as a homicide. And then you have the consultation report here from the forensic neuropathologist. Again, very detailed for anyone who wants to review all of this. And then you've got, let's see, I should go up this way because that's a little more helpful. We've got the lab report here that's been released, testing for some things here. Here were the positive findings, caffeine. And then you had some things here that were given in the hospital, and then you have the THC here. So the rest of that pretty much sort of is the same information, just the toxicology report with the information that you saw me provide there. But that is it. You have a better understanding now of the injuries that were associated with the altercation that took place between Mr. Nichols and the police back in Memphis. So I hope that brings you up to speed if you had not already had a chance to see the autopsy report for yourself. Go ahead and give the video a thumbs up if you're now up to speed, and don't forget to subscribe. Peace.